Дорогие друзья, добрый вечер. Приветствую вас из Флориды, и сейчас я перейду на английский. Dear friends, hi, and now we're going to talk with a good friend of mine and mentor and very successful entrepreneur, Joachim Kantwein. Joachim.
Yes, hello everybody.
Hi, and we talk a lot every day. We talk about business, money, relationships, and everything. You're very successful in all areas of your life, and just tell me and our friends and followers about yourself.
Well, there's a lot to say after 56 years on this planet and living in multiple continents and so on and so forth. The question is, what you're interested in? What specifically?
You're in real estate business.
At this point.
And you had a lot of challenges and difficult situations, and yeah, just share how did you start your business and what did you do before? Because we are now in the United States, but you're from Germany. Yeah, it would be interesting to know how did you start and yeah.
Yeah, well, my career side maybe is a very interesting has a very interesting thing going on. Like, I always wanted to be a veterinarian. Actually, when I was in Germany, was in school, was preparing to study to become a veterinarian. I liked animals. I thought that's a cool thing to do, be a veterinarian. So then things happened in my family life. I was not really focused 100% on school and all these things. And at one point I just realized school is not important enough for me. Other things are more important back in these days when I was 16, 17 years old. And I did not graduate as I had to in order to go to the university to become a veterinarian, right? So the second path I chose was to take apprenticeship in a bigger company where I learned something about electronic. I became an electronic engineer and also got a business degree there. And after that I just worked until I was like about 28, 29, worked my way all up in this company to become the head of a department. But I saw like there was the end of my career pretty much, and I saw all the colleagues around me in the same position. They were all dreaming about being 65 and go in retirement and then travel the world. And I thought by myself, well, I'm like 28, 29 years old, I don't know if this is actually the path I want to follow for the next 40 years. Just go into this job every morning, go home every evening, work 40, 50, 60 hours a week sometimes, get paid decent money, but still like all my time spent in this company. And then I decided, well, there must be something else out there. There really must be something else but just go into a company and have a job. And I met a person and he told me about financial advising and what financial advisors can do and so on. This was like in 1988, before the Iron Curtain came down, right? And so I contemplated about that, and in 1989 I started it like as a side business to do financial advising. I got an education in that area and started to do financial advising, pretty much like insurance, mutual funds, stuff like that, right? So we created concepts for people how to make more out of their money. And I did that, became a speaker. I had to train people in my area, and didn't really make a lot of money in the beginning, but I learned a lot about life and other things. And my then mentor, and that comes like back to the idea of having a mentor, how valuable that is. He was very successful, and today he's a billionaire in Germany. So I learned a lot how to do things, and I understand about business, I understand about finances and all these things. And I was like, well, late 20s, early 30s. And after a while I realized like real estate is more what I'm looking for. Like I liked real estate, I like tangible assets, I like the idea of cash flow, I like the idea of appreciation and so on. I like the idea of have something in my hands which is actually valuable. And that's when I started to sell real estate in the early 90s, and I became an expert in that in Germany. Got hired by multiple developers to speak to audiences, to VIP audiences in banks, etc., etc. And I did that. I was a partner in a company where we did our own real estate investment trusts, and I was selling that. Pretty much was the front man out there for the audiences, like on stage and all this stuff. And I did it until 1998. and that's pretty much. I had health issues in 1998, and decided I'm retiring. I was 38 years old. I had the financial means to do so. I retired, and since I had a vacation home in Florida already, I just moved to Florida, and I said I'm not doing anything anymore. That's it.
Yeah.
The dream of retirement, which was a nightmare because it was the most boring time in my life.
Yeah, Hakim, and you study a lot. You mentioned your mentor. You have wonderful library here,
Right.
and what's the secret to your success besides constant and never-ending improvement? I think professional personal development is the main thing, and your value number one, or one of two, the one of the main value.
Right.
So what else?
Well, I think it comes down to a mindset of just knowing that everything you do in life is a journey, and so success is, anyways, like defined differently by different
Yeah.
people in different stages of their life. When I was very young, success for me was making a lot of money. Until I had the money, then I realized that's not all. There's more. Today, I have a different definition for success. It's more about balancing personal life, balancing financial life, balancing health. Have a balance in everything and have a good time. And I value time way more than money now.
Yeah.
Since I'm older and I see how fast time runs out. And money can be remade, time not. But my success, I don't know if this is a success secret, but for me it was always like I was never like goal orientated in a way that I said I have to reach this, and if I don't reach it, I'm a failure. For me, success is pretty much like you have wins, you have losers or losses, and you just need to continue to do it. Like enjoy it, the ones as well as the others, and never ever give up. Just go ahead, move on. Doesn't matter what happens, just move on.
And what about your challenges and maybe temporary failures? Can you mention some, and what did you learn from them?
Well, they all, and I think every person has a different experience. Like in my world, most of my challenges or failures, if I would name them like that, although I see it more like as learning experiences and milestones in my career that were necessary for my next level
Yeah.
growth. But like there are maybe two or three major ones that really cost me a lot of money. But the main analyzing over time what I thought or what the reason for that was pretty much I trusted the wrong people with the wrong task. And as I mentioned this morning, my criteria to work with people was if I like them and not really if they get the job done. And that was a problem. I followed that a long time in my life, that principle. Oh, I like you, you can learn the skill, it's fine. And that's okay to a certain degree, but liking alone is not it. And it's not only about skills and liking people, it's really about integrity, loyalty. Are they sharing your vision? Are they sharing your mission? And I was like working with the wrong people. It was totally my fault, of course. I did not understand that. So I realized that I have to learn a lot about people. People is the key thing.
And what, coming back to library and mentors, and what are your favorite books, and what are your favorite movies? Because you learn a lot from movies and books as well. And
Right.
we've been talking about that yesterday and today as well. We've been talking about everything. So
Right.
I think that would be very interesting for our followers and friends on Facebook as well.
Well, I think there's not one specific book that's my favorite or that you can learn the most of. There's a lot of books out there who are extremely educational and so on and so forth. I actually believe every book or everything you do, everything you see, everything you read has a message and even an educational message. So I think one of my Bibles is Napoleon Hill's 16 Laws of Success.
Yeah.
Or even like
Oh.
this is the junior here.
Bodhi.
Bodhi, say hi. This is the golden doodle, miniature golden doodle.
Okay, go.
Anyhow,
Go.
go, Bodhi. Good boy. So I think like every book that's ever been written has some message in it. There's always something to learn. The same with movies and entertaining. I like The Wolf of Wall Street because it kind of shows how my career started.
And
back in the
you
days.
recognized yourself like 20 years ago.
Yeah, like we had a good time when we started business, minus the cocaine and whatever he did there. So just more on a solid level. But it's like that, like a lot of party going on. It's an interesting movie. I like the Wolf of Wall Street, but I like Borat as well, as we found out this morning. But yeah, like when it comes to personal growth, I believe every interaction we have with a book, with a person, with a movie, with a song, it doesn't matter. Everywhere is a message that resonates with us and tells us something.
This morning I asked you, Joachim, what would you do in my situation? Where would you invest? And you said, invest in yourself.
Right.
Can you explain this phrase and how did you apply in your own life?
Well, I believe every dollar spent in your own education, your own growth, whatever that means, like I said, even like if you travel the world, if you meet people, whatever you do, invest in yourself, you're going to get the best return on investment, especially in a young age when you're starting out doing things. I don't think that there's a point in investing in some companies or whatever. And you can do this, like if it's not major money, if it's whatever 10% of your income anyways, you want to put it away to something. But be careful about that, because many things out there make no sense at all, and then in 10, 15 years there's nothing left, and you signed the papers that you're okay with that, if it's mutual funds or insurance stuff or whatever it is. So investing in yourself is you're in control. Every dollar you spend in your education, for books, for travels, for whatever it is well spent, because your return is just infinite.
Yes,
And
right.
you like Brian Tracy said that. I think he said like you can lose all your investments and everything. Like if you invest in yourself, that's like an investment in your earning ability. So instead of investing, you're looking for 10% return on your $10,000 investment. Well, that's cool, it's $1,000. But if you invest in your own growth and your own earning ability, and you instead of $100,000, you can make $200,000 or $300,000. That's where return comes in.
Do you agree that any business skill is learnable?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think every business skill is learnable, and if you're passionate about it, I think that's the key. That's the key trigger. You got to be passionate about what you're doing. If you don't like it, it's got to be very hard to learn it, because you got to spend a lot of time with it. And if you spend time with something you don't like, it's not really a good idea.
Also, we talked a lot about proximity. Proximity is power. Our peer group, or people around who we communicate with, we become. Can you please tell about people in your life, your peer group, your mentors as well, your friends?
Well, I have a very small group of people around me that I would call my proximity group, and they're not even here, right? So the one guy is in Argentina, a very good friend or mentor of mine, who is an extremely interesting person. People are all over the world. One of my best friends lives in Switzerland. We meet maybe once or twice a year, but we're in some kind of contact all the time, and those are the people I model. That's the people I talk to when it comes to me having like a question or a thought and so on. But I also consider a lot of people who wrote smart books, like Tony Robbins is I consider a mentor to a certain degree. With his message is mentoring me too. I don't need to talk to people and get like an exchange like that. You can read a book, and the book is mentoring you extremely well as well. Because where we live here is not so many people, just for Myers, Florida, it's not really like the hot spot of personal development, like maybe areas in like Colorado, Denver or something, or
California,
where these people are kind of grouping, right? So, but that's why I joined a lot of events and meet people there, and that's why my friends are pretty much all over the world, or my mentors.
Right. Joachim, and how do you work on yourself? How do you work on your belief system and limiting beliefs and fears? Because some fears and limiting beliefs are holding us back.
Well, yeah, the first thing is actually you need to identify them and get awareness. I think that's a process that's always the same thing. Get aware and about these things that you actually have those,
Yep.
and identify them, and then try to find the root cause of it, and see if it's really holding you away from certain things or not, and if it's a problem or not. You'll realize that like it's all about awareness, and then if you're aware of something, you can actually start working on it intellectually as well as emotionally.
And what are your morning's rituals? How do you grow? How do you keep yourself on peak performance?
Well, I get up at 7 o'clock. That's like my ritual. It doesn't matter what day it is. 7 o'clock is my thing. Some people get up at 5 or 4. I don't know. It's crazy for me. 7 is okay. You know, it's like should be keeping it real. Not much ritual. Go to the gym in the morning. I have 2 or 3 times a week. I have a personal trainer for weight training.
Eddie. Eddie.
Eric. Yeah, you met Eric.
Yeah.
And you met everybody else.
Yeah.
And so I do 2 or 3 times a week. I have a personal trainer for weight training, and then usually 2 or 3 times a week I do cardio. I prefer spinning classes. I like that as a cardio, more for health reasons. And that's my morning ritual. I get back home, get my stuff together, have a little wheatgrass shot, something like this, and I was very, very like strict about things for a certain time in my life, about food and everything. I let go of that a little bit, so I'm allowing myself some sins here and there, a glass of champagne and all these things, totally cool. So it's all about balance. I think that's what I learned over the last years, that balance is very important.
For me, you're a great role model, and you're, as I mentioned before, you're successful in financial term, you're successful in business. And you told me, I think yesterday or before that very interesting thoughts about money. So what is money for you, and do you think that you are successful as a entrepreneur also in financial term?
Well, this is the question. How do you measure that? Is $50 million net worth a success? $10 million, $100 million, or 100,000 or 50,000? I don't know how this is being measured. And I believe I know what I'm doing. Most of my deals or investments work well, so I seem to have skills. Apparently, they work. My definition of success is freedom, absolutely freedom. And I turned down a lot of stuff like speaking engagements or engagements where companies wanted to hire me to build their sales team or reorganize their sales team, just because I did not feel that I can live my version of freedom out in some kind of in this environment or structure. So the money is one thing, but like the main deal for me is absolutely freedom. And freedom is for me to have a choice at any given time to do whatever I want to do with whoever I want to do, or for how long I want to do it. And that's my definition for freedom. And I think everybody has their own thing. How would you define success for yourself? How would you define money for yourself? How would you define certain things like freedom for yourself? And that depends on who you are and what your preferences are.
And what's your purpose of life? What's your mission?
I thought a lot about that, and I worked a lot on these things and so on. And I'm a big fan of Eckhart Tolle, who
Power of Now.
Exactly, it was his favorite thing or his main thing, The Power of Now, New Earth. He has a couple other books and so on. And he said once at a retreat, a woman was standing up and she was asking, like, how do I find my purpose of life, right? And so he said, well, it's very simple. And I like simple, right? So simple is good. And he said, right now, the purpose of your life is to stand up and ask me what the purpose of your life is. And I think that brought it home for me. I think it's not, I don't have a purpose that's like highly complicated. I believe my purpose of life right now is to sit here next to you and talk to your phone that you nicely placed on this thing here and speak about these things. And maybe somebody out there gets a kick out of it, or gets an idea, gets an epiphany or whatever. So then my life in this moment was absolutely purposeful. Because I have 2 children, I have the dog running around here, and I have a wonderful girl to take care of. So there's a lot of other things as well, but I think we have a lot of purposes in our life, multiple purposes.
Kim, if you would meet young man, Kim, 15 years old, you like 40 years ago, what would you say to that young man?
Stop smoking. Because that's what I did when I was that age. And I would kick my ass. I would say, dude, like, what are you doing here? Like, I was, because especially when I was 15, 16, I was like not at all on any path of success. Not at all. Like, my father was, he left the family when I turned 16. Before that, I was just like hanging out with friends, was drinking, smoking, did nothing that I had to do that was somehow goal orientated. And yeah, that's probably, like, if I look at my son now, he's 17 and a half, like the way I kick his ass to keep him on track, because I know he might have my genes, so there's a danger of him going in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be definitely it. Me get my act together.
Yeah, Kim. I think now we have some followers, friends who are 20, 30 years old, 40 years old watching us. What would you say to them? I think they want to be successful in their term, in their definition of success.
Right.
But some of them doesn't know what to do, what to start from, and what next step. And sometimes they feel lost in life. What would you say?
We all do that. We all
Yeah.
feel lost. I feel lost sometimes too. It's not gonna go away. This is like one of my mentors said too. He said, like, your problems will not go away. They will just be more quality problems, or you arrive in better cars at your problems. You arrive in style. When I drive to a problem, I come in an Aston Martin. It feels better than in something else, you know. But it's still a problem, or still things out there. So everybody has these challenges. I think, like, first of all, if you're out there and you want to make a change in your life, I think that's what most people actually, especially when they're younger, they see, okay, this is my path. I had to have an education, university, I don't know, whatever, and this would be my path, and they realize this is not really fulfilling for them. Then they should sit down and make a definition, first of all, like, how would this dream life look like? How would I define success? What means success for me? What means money to me? And so on and so forth. It's actually starting all there. I believe it's not really that you can have some great dream and just go for it. No, well, dream it, make a plan, and execute. You know?
Yeah.
And as you execute, and people looking for, say, okay, what area of my life I wanna work with, like how I ended up in real estate and investments, because I always liked the idea of actually construction. I like the smell of concrete and so on and so forth. So everybody has something like this going on, and has a something that they spend their free time with all the time, and that's maybe the topic they should look into.
So decide exactly what you want and do whatever it takes, like pay the price first.
Well, you gotta pay the price first. Oh yeah, that's the deal. Oh yeah, that's Brian Tracy says this.
Yeah.
I think he says like, pay the price first, and after you paid the price, expect the miracle to happen, right? But pay the price first.
Yeah, like life is not a restaurant where you eat and then pay. It's like it's pay the first, like buffet.
Sometimes you pay 2 or 3 times before you get a little bit of the buffet, because you had the wrong currency with you, or you paid the wrong people, and they were just taking off with your money. No, definitely, it's not like, I hear a lot, like Simon Sinek, for example, speaks about the entitlement of the millennials and all these things. So I don't know about that. I have young people working in my companies. They are very ambitious. They're very hungry. They're right on point, and so on and so forth. So I don't deal with this situation of entitlement and laziness. Maybe I pick better people now. I don't know what it is, but it's really like, if you want to be successful, the definition of hard work, I think, has changed over the generations. Like what was hard work in 1945 or in 1965 or in 1985 or in 2015 seems to be different. My son thinks it's hard work when he washes my car. I thought hard work for me was 7 days a week, 14 hours a day. My parents had a total different definition for hard work. So, but it's got to be hard work. if there's no hard work, nothing is going to happen.
And I see, and we've been talking about that recently, that you're always raising your standards. We've been talking about what to choose, economy class or business class, and why you choose business class, and
Right.
you always choose right people. You're always raising your standards. Why do you do that? Why do you always try to expand your comfort zone?
Well, they say the growth happens outside the comfort zone, whatever that means, right? So every day do something that's uncomfortable to you, and that should be one of the triggers to make you grow as a person. Because the way it works pretty much is, I believe, definitely. First of all, I do most of the things very consciously. So I think about it. I make them. I'm not just following whatever everybody does. I think about it. Like one of the slogans in one of my companies is outside the box. So we always think outside the box. We think about making the impossible possible. There must be a way for it, and I believe that. And there's always I found it over the last 50 years. All the time there was a way to do it. And a lot of it happens outside the comfort zone, because if you just do what you're used to do, and you have a comfort zone of that size, well, this is who you are, and that's what's going to happen. That's your life. And when you start expanding that, of course, everything expands. The people, you get different people in your life, different money comes in, different houses show up, everything is different, and it's a lot of fun too. It's kind of boring if you always do the same thing. And some people like that. Some people like to have a job and they work for the government. They do this for 50 years and they're happy. That's cool. I admire them too. It's great. As long as they're happy, they add some value to the universe. Positive vibes.
And you said that you weren't always a goal-oriented person. Can you remember like your first money? Can you remember when you earned your first million? And maybe you can make some advices and maybe provide some thoughts about how can make first million for people who are watching us right now.
What actually happened in my case, and I read that in one or two other books as well, is actually most millionaires, when they become millionaires, they don't even realize that they became a millionaire. They just do what they do, and they just did what they did, and all of a sudden there was a million. In my time, it was a million German marks, so it was not so bad, but it's $1 million or euros or whatever nowadays. So it was in the bank all of a sudden, in my account, and I actually made me aware of that. So I just did what I did back in these days. Like the first, it was in 1993, I think, 1993. So after the Iron Curtain fell, the wall in Germany was gone. There were a lot of business opportunities in East Germany and also in West Germany. A lot of people moved over, so real estate was booming, crazy. And we were building apartments back in these days. And I was with a company that built apartments, and my job was to travel through the entire country and give seminars about that to salespeople and other people and advisors. And I did like 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. Made that year, I think I made 1.5 or 1.6 million or something like that. I didn't even realize it because I had no time to count the money because I was on the road all the time.
Yeah.
So it's really like when you and even when you read the success stories of other people in books and so on, it's mostly the same story. They didn't realize what happened. They just did what they did, and all of a sudden that money showed up, and then they had to educate themselves in how to manage like taxes and other things, which was not a topic for me before.
And I think the most successful people enjoy what they're doing. They doesn't work. They just do what they love to do. They're passionate about.
I believe so. The ones I met, the ones I met, yes, that's exactly. There's a lot of people out there who make a lot of money with something, being a CEO of some company or whatever, you know. But that's not really. That was never really my thing. Like I never admired a CEO for being a CEO because some of my employees became CEOs in some big insurance companies, and I knew they have nothing to offer, but they were just around other people and they were in the proximity. So being a CEO of a big company making a salary of 400,000 a year or 500,000 a year, it's not a major accomplishment. The only thing you need to do in order to get that job is, of course, to have a certain degree that they ask for, and be around people who can actually give you that job. Right? So that's pretty much what it is. Way more complicated, I believe, is to build your own small business, and I admire every small business owner unbelievably, because like if you're a baker, butcher, whatever, doesn't matter, speaker, author, whatever you do, I admire these people a lot because they work their asses off, and they have the blood, the sweat, and the tears in
Yes.
it, and that's part of the business. It's part of the success is the pain and the crying and not sleeping at night and the
Yep.
sweat, and that's just part of it.
Yeah. Some people think that he became successful overnight, but that overnight could took 10, 15, 20 years.
Right. Well, usually you usually see successful people when they are successful. You don't see the 30 years of struggle
Yes.
before. And you don't see the failures and nothing. It's just because they don't show up. They only show up when they are successful, and now it's hard to believe that there were times where they were not successful or did stupid things or whatever. But in reality, pretty much everybody who is like on the top, and it doesn't count. It's for people like the big names out there in every industry. Is the same thing. Like they had their ups, their downs, and the higher the up, the lower the down sometimes. So, but that builds character. That builds character.
Yeah, Joachim, and I think one of the last question would be about choosing the right partner in life and business. We talked a lot this morning and yesterday. Very interesting subject, and you have huge experience in relationships, in business, and personal relationships. So, what's the secret of long-term relationships, and how can we choose right partner for life and business?
Good. Okay, if I had this answer, if there were one answer, I think I would be amazing. I think first of all, everybody has an individual approach, an individual answer for that. My personal one is, yes, of course, like the people you surround yourself with. This is the key decisions that you make, and I had to learn that very hard way in regards to my ex-wife, as you can hear, ex-wife, so not wife anymore, and ex-business partners that I choose very, very, very badly. And they're not bad people, they're cool people, it's all wonderful, but they did not fit into my plan and into what I was striving to do and what my strategy was. So I gave the wrong people too much trust, too much abilities, or too much, I allowed too much on their end to damage actually business and my personal life. So having the right people is the key to success. Now the question is, how do you find the right people? And there's different strategies. Like nowadays, what I'm doing, I kind of redefine that. In business, for example, it's very important for me to understand the attitude of a person in general, to watch them, how do they act inside and outside business and also in their personal life. That's where you can see integrity. Integrity is very important, I believe. It's a very important skill and or personality trait. If they're in high levels of integrity, you can actually deal with these people. In a personal life, I would believe it's very similar. It's very similar. There are certain factors that are important you need to look for. But first of all, and one of my friends said that once on stage, and they asked him, "Why?" So he was with his wife. They are a very happy couple since many years. And he said, "But what's the secret of your relationship? Why are you like happy with your wife for so many years?" And he said, like, we actually like each other, right? We like each other, and there's not only love or something, but like, we really like each other. We like to spend time together. We like to laugh together still after 25 years or 30 years or how long they were together. And I like that, actually. I like that approach. If that's the case, sometimes there's all kinds of books out there, like where people fall in love and then they're crazy for each other, almost like addiction sometimes, and so not really healthy, and so on and so forth. But everybody is going to find his own answer for that. The moment it becomes a job, or it becomes a burden, or you have to think in a negative way about things, you should think about it, if this is good for you or not. Maybe cut it off.
Thank you, Akim. It was very interesting conversation about different things. We've been talking about everything. I mean, yesterday and this morning, and we took short interview here just to introduce you to my followers and friends, and I think they got some insights and some ideas to use in their own life and business and financial terms and personal life as well. So thank you for sharing, thank you for your wisdom, thank you for your support and everything you do for me personally and for others. I believe there are a lot of people that thinking of you as their role model, mentor and friend. it's great having you.
It's interesting, like, that's not my thing, but every person, I believe, has a huge impact and underestimates the impact they can have on other people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just a word or a smile or a touch or something like that can actually change somebody else's life. And if we have the awareness that that's actually what happens out there and what the power we have, that is a big game changer for everybody. And I even when I was back in the days speaking my seminars and stuff like that, I told people always, like, I might be the most boring speaker you've ever experienced, and that's totally cool. But listen, maybe there's one thing or maybe two things I'm saying that actually resonate with you and might change your life. And if I speak for 2 hours and there's like 5 minutes that get you to the next level, fine, then you're already a winner.
Right.
So you got to be here anyways for 2 hours because your boss paid me to be here for you for 10 hours or 2 hours, so you got to stay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's the way it is.
Right.
That's the way I look at everything. Always being open.
Thank you.
Pavel.
Thank you,
I,
Joachim.
yeah, pleasure to do this. It's good.
Дорогие друзья, спасибо, что были с нами. Кто понимал английский, было здорово. Кто нет, в любом случае, в каких-то статьях, может быть, в беседах тоже пообщаюсь с вами, поделюсь, чем Joachim и другие предприниматели, люди, наставники, друзья делятся своей жизненной философией, картиной мира и ценностями, идеями. Поэтому следите за новостями, буду делать периодически такие трансляции и желаю вам больших успехов. У кого вечер, спокойной ночи и до новых встреч. Илья, Александр, Катя, спасибо за активное участие. Алина, всех приветствую, всех вижу и желаю вам, Лина, успехов и до новых встреч. Пока.